Whether you're a scoundrel, a bounty hunter, or just a big fat jabber, gather around and I'll tell you the whole epic out-of-this-world saga of how I turned this steaming pile of bantha spaff into this life-size Han and Carbonite replica, almost entirely by hand, just to see if I could. So sit back, relax, chill your boots, and I'll crack on with treating you to a, if I do say so myself, fantastic hand job. But because this was a while ago and dreams of a YouTube channel was but a quiver in my tiny trousers, I only have my memories and these photographs to take you through the process. But luckily I did find my old post on thedentedhelmet.com that takes me through everything that I did, including all the mistakes, so I can show you how you can build one yourself. So this is a bit of fun because I haven't read this post since I wrote it 6 years ago. So apparently I got this face off eBay for 30 quid. I knew I got it off eBay, but 30 quid is a bit of a steal. It is a really good replica of Harrison Ford. He's proper got that kicked in the bollocks by his best mate Lando Luke. And what's more, it's a perfect scale. The 9mm MDF backboard and sides all cut from one board only cost £20. And apparently I spent about £50 on clamps. I don't have them anymore, so I presume they weren't nipple clamps because I definitely would have kept those. I found this very handy image online with all the measurements on it, so I just tiled that up to full size and printed it off in sections on A3. Oh, there's those clamps there. They probably did go around my nipples at some point, to be fair. So I cut out the form of Han, and what I'm apparently going to do, I had this great idea of using Builder's expanding foam to build up the form nice and quick. So in this photograph, you can see it's a bit of a mess, and according to the forum post that I posted, I say, as you can see, I've applied the expanding foam. Looks a mess at the moment, but actually really happy with it. It will be formed into a very decent base for the entire torso, and was quick and easy to apply. Yes, well, you'll soon see that my optimism was misjudged. And I also put in the post that I lost the nozzle to the Builder's expanding foam can, and had to use pliers to activate the spray. Jesus, what an idiot. So no wonder it came back to bite me, because in the next post later that day it says, so the beige foam is uncarvable, completely uneven and full of huge air pockets. Probably due to poor application, yes, or poor product. I'm going to say poor application by bloody idiot that tried to do it. I continue on by saying, so going to remove as much of the beige and pretty much start with the white foam, which is very carvable apparently. Anyway, I quite optimistically say, bit of a hiccup, but better sort it out properly now than literally paper over it. Well, that's the spirit 2019 me. So it seems that optimism was well placed, and I can remember this actually, that the white expanding foam was much better, although carving it got through so many retractable craft knives and these like mini little sander things, like they're almost like a grater. It was absolutely ridiculous. It would just blunt stuff straight away. But as you can see, I was following reference photographs and marked everything out, including where all the folds and everything would go. And then eventually I got everything pretty good. So I covered it all in masking tape, I can remember. Not quite sure why I just put strips and strips of masking tape over it and then covered it in wood glue. So this next part on the forum post I was going to read through first, but it's not interesting. I'm just going to read it verbatim and we can enjoy it together. So after covering it in masking tape and PVA, brackets, a lot of PVA, it was still soft and spongy. So I cut an old duvet cover to a rough shape, dipped it in a plaster PVA glue mix, and moulded it to the foam carved creases. Wow, I was absolutely, must have been sniffing some of the expanding foam fumes a little bit there, guys. As it became a little tacky, I could mould it and adjust it pretty nicely and smothered the mix all over it. That must have been fun. I think I probably smothered it all over myself at one point as well. Kinky. Anyway, I had to wait a couple of days for it to cure, but some parts were still a little mushy. Yes, I remember this being difficult. Not sure why, but the moisture seemed trapped under the fabric in some areas. I added another layer of PVA to try and add strength, but even when dry, as PVA is a bit flexible, there was a lot of give in areas. But I left it alone as I moved on to the hands, so yeah, probably brushing that under the carpet a little bit there. That's my motto anyway. If it's not working, don't think about it. Alright, back to the forum post. Made some okay moulds of my hands from alginate. Had a few too many air bubbles, but hey, first timer and all that. Used plaster of Paris to cast, but even after curing for 72 hours, it was so brittle, so I smashed them in a rage and started again. That's the spirit. This time I used polyurethane resin, and wow, what a difference. Love that stuff. So easy to use and rock solid results. Never used alginate or plaster or poly before, total noob, as I still am, but learnt a few things and had fun, so all's well that ends well, as they say. I really was a quite chipper soul in 2019, wasn't I? The post goes on. As a bonus, as I had about a pint of resin left after casting the hands, so I poured it over the entire body. Now it's finally solid as hell. Wish I'd used this stuff first instead of PVA. 3-minute cure time instead of 3 days for PVA. Attached hands with no more nails. So, apparently the hands didn't stick with no more nails, so, well, I didn't like the look of it anyway, apparently. Lots of polyurethane is arriving today, so plan to stick hands with the correct glue. Then I was going to fill much of the panel with polyurethane to get a nice, strong and even layer. Then onto the final sculpting and detailing, sanding and painting, then done. Maybe another weekend's worth of work, fingers crossed. You really do have a positive mindset, 2019 Crack Fox. Go you. So apparently I bought 2 kilograms of polyurethane resin, say that again, poured 3/4 of it over everything, put the hands in place, making sure to hold them in place for a few minutes, and build up around the contact points as the resin got tackier. Secured the hands perfectly, filled 80% of the recess, and from what I can remember and what I've seen on the next photos that you're going to see, I really should have stopped there. Because according to my Han Solo diary, things got a little bit weird. Used a layer of PVA glue to get some really cool, nice carbonite effect and to seal the filled parts of the neck and hands and wrists. All went well, took so long to dry, 3 to 4 days. I was ready to sand and paint. I was really happy with the carbonite effect, but then I wanted to add some more definition to some of the creases. Long story short, when I fine-tuned fillered parts got sanded, the PVA lifted off and I accidentally placed my palm on a not very dry part. This left a gaping mess of splodge. So I went out and bought more PVA glue, a different brand this time. I really actually remember going to Wilko's night after night and just emptying the shelves of PVA glue as much as I get my hands on getting the train back from Manchester. Absolute jokes. Anyway, so yes, I bought more PVA glue, a different brand this time. I then coated the whole model with it. And for some reason, when it's set, it all cracked and curdled. Some parts still aren't firm and have the consistency of grilled halloumi. Christ. I do remember that actually. But I'm sure these will cure soon enough, I hope. God, man, that optimistic spirit is properly starting to wane at that point. But then again, I do go on to say, so as you can see from a couple of the pics, cottage cheese-like textures, it's actually tempting to prime and see it in grey, just because it's so interesting and unique. Oh, that's putting a positive spin on it, mate. Or I could just cover the lot in more poly resin and have all the cracks filled in and try and sculpt a few of the key features. Yeah, that's the spirit. Just hide your mistakes and just hope they don't come back to the surface later on. And then it didn't turn out too bad in the end. It's nearly done. Lots of very rough bits, which I aim to sort. Mainly due to the polyurethane being over-cured at one point. I remember this, and yeah, I kind of like touched it and it got all sticky and tacky and made like rough textures everywhere instead of the really smooth stuff. But you know what, enough is enough, I think. I had to give up. And I couldn't resist the urge to prime it and just have a look at it in a colour of some description. And you know what? It didn't look bad at all. So I thought, you know, that's it. I spent enough money. I spent too much time doing all this stuff. I would have spent a fraction of the cost if I'd just gone straight to polyurethane resin from the get-go and just did not touch PVA glue. If I had done that, yeah, this could have been done in a couple of weekends worth of work. Most of the time was the waiting for stuff to dry. And then, yeah, I liked it that much that I went over it with like a couple metallic-y silver and a metallic-y graphite-y spray. And there you go. And here's some close-ups of the finished deal. And you know what? Considering all the mistakes and the fact that I kind of hand-carved most of this, when you put it next to the original, it's not that bad. It's not that bad at all. The only thing I never did at the time was put the readout things around the edges, like the framing and stuff like that. And I realised I've got a 3D printer now, haven't I? So I could just do that in no time at all and just finish it off. So yeah, maybe that's another project for another time. Right, well, I've waffled on for long enough, so I'll let you get back to what you were doing. Take it easy. See you next time.